You are listening to Unified Through Chronic and Mental Illness with your hosts, Angie Roberts and Kimberly Murphy. Please be advised that some of the topics of this podcast can be triggering and sensitive in nature.
If we all had empathy or just tried to have some empathy, I think that would be a world that I would love to live in. Welcome back to Unified, guys. This is Angie, and today we're talking about empathy. Psychology Today says empathy is the ability to recognize, understand, and share the feelings of another person, animal, or fictional character.
Fictional character. Interesting.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Yeah, as we read on, we'll talk about that and how it can actually even help you develop empathy if you read fictional and non-fictional books. So it's interesting.
So developing empathy is crucial for establishing relationships and behaving compassionately. And it also involves expressing another's point of view, making moral decisions, and intervening when others are being bullied, which we've been in bullying situations, both of us, in our past. And
right.
I've also seen other people get bullied. And a matter of fact, I became really good friends with the kids that were getting bullied in school because I always felt that they had a much deeper compassion for other people because of what they've been through. And
right.
They were able to form deeper relationships. So I always wanted to be friends with those kids rather than, like the popular kids that were doing the bullying usually.
Right. Yeah, me too. And I always stood up for the people if I saw somebody being bullied. I did not like that. I wasn't having that.
Right. I same here. Which got me into trouble a lot, but
right. Yeah.
Once or twice.
And it really is like crucial for developing good relationships so that because you need compassion and empathy and sympathy and all these the pathies.
The pathies.
Yeah. The pathies to make a great, even friendship bond,
Exactly.
So Psychology Today, I love Psychology Today.
Another plug for Psychology Today. Sponsor us.
That's true today already.
I know.
Psychology Today also says empathy is a learned behavior, but is something that slowly develops. Humans begin to show signs of empathy in infancy, and it develops through childhood and adolescence.
So basically, we are all born with the ability to have empathy, and somewhere it gets damaged or it isn't developed.
Exactly.
Now, that's interesting because there's a lot of people that believe, and this is different, empathy and being an empath are different things. Definitely. But there is a lot of people that believe that their empathy is special and something that they're born with, and that it's deeper than, say, sympathy with other people. So that's an interesting fact to know that we are all born with empathy. It's not just, in some people.
Right. Yeah. We're born with that ability to learn empathy. And if it's not molded correctly, then we don't learn it. And, it's kind of like from our, I think it's hard if you're around a lot of narcissistic people to learn empathy.
I was just going to say, like, that whole saying, it takes a village to raise a child. So it depends on like your environment, really. That whole thing of nature versus nurture. If you're not nurtured to be empathetic, it's harder to be empathetic. I know that there are people that have grown up in very rough circumstances and they become empathetic in spite of that. But, it's a lot to overcome, I think, for those people too. So
I think so too. There is a downside of empathy. It can blind someone from their own needs, or it can make them more valuable to those who would take advantage of them, which is really sad. People really, they prey off of people that have a lot of empathy, I think. And they may not even mean to.
Well, this is why the narcissist and the empathic person are often paired together. Because they can actually, sniff them out. The narcissist can sniff them out. And of course, the empathic person wants to take care of them in some way. Yeah, help them. So that makes sense to me. I know I've been in that situation many times where I've kind of overlooked red flags and bad things so that, thinking that I could help somebody. So
same here. Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that.
People like first responders, humanitarian aid workers, journalists, and others whose work opens them up to other people's pain are said to be highly empathetic, but after a time they may experience burnout or shutting down and being less willing to give of themselves.
You see that with doctors a lot.
Yeah, doctors, nurses, CNAs, the medical field. I'm sure there's a lot of burnout right now going on there, working hours.
I think that like those of us in the chronic illness community and mental illness community can like really relate to the fact that some of our doctors seem kind of unplugged, like just disengaged.
I have to switch doctors when that happens.
Yeah, I think that this is a lot of it.
Yeah, I do think they experience a lot of burnout.
Kind of like desensitization.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just to be clear, sympathy and empathy are two different things. In sympathy, you identify with the situation that they find themselves in. But with empathy, it's more about identifying what someone is feeling and actually feeling those feelings. And I think people get those confused.
They definitely do. Because I was talking to my therapist and she said, "Oh, what are you doing tonight?" And we were supposed to record the podcast, but yeah, things happen. So she said, "Oh, what's it about?" And I told her. And so she started asking me, what's sympathy, all this stuff. And I said, well, that was one thing we were going to talk about. And, sympathy is really, you don't feel the other person's feelings. It's you identify. So you've been in their shoes. So you identify with that. But empathy, you really actually feel the feelings that person is feeling. And you really identify with them.
Right. It's like the ability to, like, whether you've been there or not, put yourself in that person's shoes and really try to feel what, understand how you would feel, how they are feeling. Saying to yourself, how would I feel if I was in this situation, and being able to identify on a deeper level, I think.
I swear I can, a stranger can walk by and if they're having a lot of, I just feel their pain or their whatever. Yeah. So, especially pain. I pick up on pain a lot. Yeah. I think empaths do pick up on pain like that.
Exactly. Like you can feel the weight.
Right. Yeah.
And an empath is someone that is aware that he or she reads emotions, undercurrent, intentions, thoughts, relational behaviors, body language, and gestural language. Only 1 to 2% of the populations report experience this condition, which is really odd because
everybody is an empath anymore.
We're able to, I know, right? Everybody says they are. I pick up really big time. I'm really good at picking up intentions. Like I can sort of almost guess what the person's going to do before they've done it. And what their intentions are like coming at me. Or, other people actually. So I really identify with that one. And I think we're very sensitive to body language. But even online, like I swear I can talk to someone and feel what they're feeling, even though we're talking in text or on Messenger. Know, right? Has that ever happened to you?
Yes, it has plenty of times. Or I just read somebody's post and like, you feel like you feel their pain. Like, oh, that just really hit my heart,
Yeah.
Empaths are emotional sponges who can absorb feelings from people very easily. Unfortunately, this makes them very attracted to narcissists because the narcissist sees someone who will fulfill every need in an unselfish way.
This is what like seriously upsets me about narcissists. So I have an example. It happened. Yeah, it happened recently. Recently, a friend of mine passed away unexpectedly, and I, of course, wanted to share the news with somebody who was also friends with this person, and let them know before it hit all over social media. And in doing so, this person's reaction was to basically talk about themselves the entire time. So it wasn't just about this person dying. It was, oh, this is so unfair to me. You know, this is so unfair to me, and this is, you know, life is just difficult, and people like me, this is what happens, and anything this person could say to sway the conversation back to them and make the
No
sympathy
empathy at all.
None. This
No
person
empathy,
was
sympathy.
trying to gather sympathy for themselves.
Right.
And I'd never seen anything like that before in my life. To have a friend die and to respond that way, it was very surprising to me. So,
I would be surprised and shocked too.
yeah, and it hurt me for the person that had passed away. It really did.
So there's 6 habits of highly empathetic people. Number 1, they cultivate curiosity about strangers, otherwise talking to people like on the bus or the plane or somebody you're standing next to, or
I do this all the
somebody in a
time.
restaurant.
It drives my husband insane.
Yeah, I used to do this to drive my ex-boyfriend insane.
I don't do it on purpose. It just happens. And everywhere I go, like, I don't know. I just, yeah, my husband.
I never meet a stranger.
Nope. They also challenge prejudice and discover commonalities. So they search for what they share with others rather than what divides them. And I'm constantly saying this in support groups, you know, because there's always, when you put a bunch of women in one support group, there's bound to be issues. And I always say, right? And I always say, we need to look at what we share in common rather than what divides us. And we should do that with everyone. That's just the way I feel.
No matter their race or sexuality or anything, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
You know, nobody deserves to be treated like that.
And I think if you have any empathy at all, you would realize that, you know, separating someone due to their race or their sexual orientation or their age, or there's ageism, you know, many different things,
right?
Their gender preferences or whatever. That's, you know, what if you were that person? Like, can you not put yourself in their shoes? I don't understand.
Right. It honestly keeps our country divided.
Right.
I mean, I think it does. I don't mean to get political, but I'm not really getting political. That's just my statement.
And for those out there, when I said gender preferences, I didn't mean, you know, that you choose it. So that's another podcast though, and we will get to that.
We are going to get to that.
I didn't mean to say, I will take back the word preferences. That's not what I meant. But anyway.
So also, number 3, highly empathetic people, they like to try another person's life. You know, they're kind of well-rounded in life, trying opposite things than normal. They're normal. They're not scared to step outside of the box and experience someone else's life. Like, I can say I live in the outskirts of Detroit. I have went into Detroit. I have been in the hood of Detroit. Scary, yes. Did I learn something? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I learned our differences, and I learned our similarities. You know, but I could be sympathetic. I can't really be, or empathetic, to their situation. I can never put myself in their shoes, but, you know.
Right.
But that's my little story.
I mean, I can relate to this too. I started like in Vermont, which is not very well-rounded. It's very so I came from there, and I've been like in East LA, and I've been in Phoenix, and I've been in, you know, I now live in Florida, so been all over. And you know, economically speaking, you learn a lot from people who don't have money. And I say that because they develop skills that most people don't have, and they have to fight for everything they have. And
they do.
Yeah. And how can you not have empathy for that? I mean, it's a hard life, and yet they're some of the best people because they are living for things that matter.
Right.
even though
They do.
even though they're in survival mode. When I was really poor, I had this drive, this passion, um,
Hmm.
and I think that matters. And people like that want to change things, and people who are comfortable don't. And that's just the way it is. And I'm sorry, I'm being general. I understand that, but generally speaking,
Right.
you know,
It leads to another one that they inspire mass action and social change. And that's what you were kind of talking about.
exactly. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah,
Right.
because they have
They
to.
also, right. They also listen hard and open up, they listen with intent and purpose, and then
Mhm.
they open up about their own life. And I think that is what makes people feel comfortable about opening up to an empathetic person
Mhm.
is that, they, if I tell you a little bit about me and my experience, you're going to be like, oh, she understands. I
Right.
can talk to her.
Mhm.
And so that's why I ended up being a mental health advocate so that people could come to me or whatever.
I think too, though, like an empath listens differently than other people.
Right.
They hear you. They
Yeah.
really hear you.
They listen with a purpose, like
Right.
what
Yeah.
you're going through.
Exactly. So it's hard not to open up to somebody who really, really connects with you, and I think that's really what it's about. So they develop an ambitious imagination. And this reminds me of my best friend in school. She was this girl who was just extremely connected with everybody, and everybody loved her, but she was kind of in her own world, right? She was very artistic, and she would like play imaginative games. Like we would pretend we were like, fairies in the forest or something, and we would make all these
Oh,
little paths. And but
yeah.
through that
I
kind of
used to do that kind of
play,
stuff.
yeah, through that kind of play, like not all kids play like that. And through that kind of play, I think you actually develop more of those empathic skills. Um,
Right. Yeah. I have a 3-year-old, and so let me tell y'all, when they say they can be empathetic from birth, it's
mhm.
true. Jacob
Yep.
doesn't like it when other people cry. He will get onto their parents because they made them cry. He doesn't like it. He
Yeah.
doesn't like it at all.
Yeah.
So, and he gets that from play, I think. Like he watches some shows, but when he's playing, sometimes if one of the dinosaurs get hurt,
Right.
like it's, oh no, my dinosaur, you
Yeah.
know,
They do
yeah, are
work a
you
lot out through
okay?
play. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's having empathy for something that is a toy, and he knows it's a toy because he tells me it's a toy. So, but I mean, that is how they start, and they
Hmm.
see it through us. So if you find yourself in a place that you wonder why you don't have a lot of empathy, or you don't feel like you have a lot of empathy after you've heard this or whatever, it can be learned, says the NewYorkTimes.com, and we're going to tell you some ways. You can talk to new people and start conversations with a stranger, invite a colleague or a neighbor you don't know well to lunch.
After COVID.
That after COVID, please, after COVID.
Don't go to lunch yet. You can follow people on
Yeah.
social media with different backgrounds than yours. And that is really effective right now since we can't go out. We're all on social media, so you can meet tons of people from different backgrounds.
TikTok is great too because I found a lot of different cultures and races explained, and religions explained. I really like the Salah family.
Hmm.
It's Selah family. They are Muslim, but they are very cool, and they explain a lot of their practices. And it's really a lot about peace. And so it's very interesting.
And they're an awesome couple. They really
They
are.
are. It's
Hmm.
almost it's couple goals. Those two are just so adorable together.
Absolutely. I know they are awesome. And as good as social media is, sometimes you need to put your phone away when you're having conversations with people. My son likes to bring his phone to the table, and he knows there's a rule. You don't do
Mm,
that because when we're sitting down and we're having dinner, that's the time that we can actually like connect and talk about our days and what's been going on. And if you have your nose buried in your devices, you're missing out on what's in front of you.
right. I've Oh, I've actually taken people to dinner and all they did was sit on their phone. And I'm like, are you
That
serious
is
right now?
so rude. I've heard of women going on dates and that happened. So
Right.
rude,
It
right?
is.
Yeah.
It
Come on,
is.
guys. Put the phones down.
That's a turnoff, guys, just so you know.
Put the phone down.
So you can also try somebody else's life. How about visit someone else's church, mosque, or their type of religious worship for a couple weeks? Go to different places that have different cultures and try different foods from other countries. This I love to do. Oh my gosh. I love to try different foods from other countries and I love different cultures.
Yeah, me too.
So this is one reason I do like Detroit, living around Detroit, because it's so multicultural here.
Right. I did visit a bunch of churches when I was like exploring religions, and I that really opened my eyes. And also, I love living in Florida because all you have to do is go south, like down in Miami, and it really is like a totally different world down there. There's so many different cultural things happening.
Right.
It's so diverse. Okay, and also like this is a good one because everybody's so up in arms lately about this or that. If somebody else's behavior is bothersome to you, really sit down and think about why. Is it really about them?
Right. Or
And
is it
if it
something
is,
within you that's
right.
causing you anxiety or
Mhm.
something like that?
Or, think about why it's so bothersome to you. You may be able to learn something about the other person that you didn't consider before. I think there's so much reaction going on right now. There's so much tension, and nobody's really working on solutions. They're just kind of reacting to each other.
There's one of them that really goes with what you're saying, and it can be controversial, but if you really listen to what I'm saying, you'll understand. Admit when you're biased. Like, we're all biased every now and then. It just happens.
Mm-hmm.
Acknowledging that is the first step, and it really is to understanding somebody else. The second step is taking action to overcome it, because when we know better, we do better, and we're stronger together, like we say, and that doesn't just mean the mental health community or the chronic illness community. It can mean the whole world. We can be stronger together.
Absolutely. And there is a lot dividing us right now, unfortunately. And that's where
Yeah.
those biases can be seen.
Another one that's really hard, and this is another thing that is controversial, is checking your privilege. And I know some people are going to be like, "What?" But listen, the flip side of being biased is privilege. Bias puts certain groups in our society at a disadvantage, while privilege puts other groups at an advantage. Let's just talk about low income people and high income people, or middle wage people.
I think that's a good place to start. Yeah.
Even the education wise, like
Mm-hmm.
here's what I see in Detroit. I see schools that are falling apart with kids in them. I
Mm-hmm.
see these kids have no textbooks, they have no computers, they have
Yeah.
no nothing.
That's the same
They're
situation
Yeah,
here. Yeah.
yeah. And then at the upside, the upscale schools, they have everything.
Mm-hmm.
So how is there no privilege? And it doesn't have to be white privilege. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just privilege in general.
Mm-hmm.
So, we just need to know. We just need to say, yeah, okay, I have this privilege. It's
Not
not a bad
everybody,
thing.
yeah, not everybody
Yeah,
starts at the same place. If
right.
life was a race, we're not all starting at the same starting line.
No,
And so, and if that bothers you and that gives you a knee jerk reaction to defend yourself and get mad, think about why.
yeah,
Honestly,
yep.
because just because one person started from a bad situation and rose up, that doesn't mean everybody can do that. That's an individual thing. But you have to acknowledge the fact that you're not all starting from the same point, and that is absolutely true.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's absolutely true. Because in Arkansas, like where I was from in Arkansas, we had everything we needed, but Little Rock, they didn't have what they needed.
Right.
So it's sad
It's
that
very
the
sad.
low income people don't get what the you know what the higher income people can get.
And it really is an economical issue. It really is. Unfortunately, a lot of the minorities are poor.
Right.
You know, if you look at averages, but yeah, it's an economical issue, and it's not fair to the kids that are trying to learn. You can't learn when you're in survival mode. It's hard to learn. You're starting out behind already. So that's just something for people to think about,
Right. And if you're thinking, oh, well, I'm not privileged or I'm not this, just ask yourself these questions. When was the last time I had to think about my race? When was the last time you had to think about your ethnicity? What about your gender, your religion, ability levels, or even your sexual orientation? Sometimes these questions can kind of put you in a different mind and headspace, thinking outside of the box instead of, being cooped up, in our own head.
And, when you think about economical issues, when's the last time you had to think about where you were going to get your next meal?
Right.
When was the last time you had to think about how you were going to get kids clothes that fit them to go to school? I see kids all the time down here that are asking for belts from, the office at school, or they're in shorts in the middle of winter, and everybody thinks Florida's warm. We get in the 40s in the winter. It's cold for them.
Right.
They don't get to eat if they're not in school. So those are things to think about too. If you ate today, you're lucky. If you have a roof over your head, you're privileged. There are people that don't. There are tons of homeless kids in Central Florida.
It's so sad.
It's very sad. Yeah, it's very sad.
So why don't we take some action instead of, let's be proactive. Donate money to a cause that'll help people in need, or attend a rally in support of them. And that also helps you learn about those people.
Exactly. And that goes to what we were saying earlier about empathetic people tend to be proactive, and they tend to instigate change. So getting involved in something like that is going to put you in the middle of a group of empathetic people. So that's a really great way to develop that skill. So, speak up when somebody makes derogatory comments, or advocate for things that will help others, even if it doesn't directly affect you.
Remember, empathy is not about you. Remember that you don't need to understand everything about someone to make them feel respected. And that's a big thing, respect. People, everybody deserves respect.
This is a fight I've had with people online so many times. People always say respect has to be earned. And I've always said, I give respect to every person because they're a human being until they give me a reason not to.
Right. Yeah, I'm like that.
And so, why wouldn't a human being deserve respect from you? Really think about that. Why?
Right.
Why do they have to prove it to you?
Right. Yeah. They really don't.
No.
Right. We were talking about this earlier, so here we go. Losing yourself in the fiction or the nonfiction reading. So fiction requires people to enter characters' lives in their minds, and nonfiction helps you to learn about the struggles and the fights, the oppression, or different groups and people. So fiction actually makes new neural pathways in your brain too. So when you read, so it's like a double whammy. But you do develop the empathy for the characters as you read for them. You're learning about them and learning how they feel, and you start to feel for them. By the end of the book, you start to feel like that them,
right.
And you can be.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. It helps you not make those assumptions too, because you start to learn that there are a lot of different ways that people can think, how people can react. Yeah. And, two people never experience the same thing the same way.
It's never like that.
No.
Right.
So that also helps you drop your assumptions, which is great. Expand your research. Read and watch first-person accounts of experiences of others in magazines and newspapers. And I would even expand that to Netflix, all the documentaries that are out there.
YouTube.
YouTube.
There's
You can find a lot on YouTube.
Stuff on YouTube.
Exactly. And, TED Talks, whatever your thing is, podcasts. So that you can learn about other people and what they've experienced and where they come from and their cultural differences and the whole thing. I mean, we live in a world, fortunately, where we're so much closer together than we ever were before.
Right. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
We should kind of take advantage of it. I know it's been a long time and we've been in each other's faces for a long time, but we still got to take advantage.
We have such an advantage right now.
Actually, I was just talking to one of our friends, Ellen Bellin. She's been on the podcast before. And I was telling her, like, when I was in high school, I would have never thought there would be an app where I could open it up and look at your face in Belgium while I was in Michigan. So, and it's free. Like,
I know.
And it's free. So we're making connections. We can make connections all over the world, which is awesome. Like when I had a baby shower online, I had presents from a friend in Australia and my friend in Belgium. So he kind of had a international baby shower.
Right.
It takes zero effort to be kind. I mean,
yep.
You can just be kind. Just smile. You don't have to be mean.
Right. Right. So what is the mantra for this week, Angie?
The mantra is sympathy is easy. You have sympathy for starving children swatting at flies on the late night commercials. Sympathy is easy because it comes from a position of power. Empathy is getting down on your knees and looking someone else in the eye and realizing that you could be them and that all that separates you is luck.
I get chills even every time I read that because
it's
it
so
really
true.
hits home. Yeah, it's so true. It is so true. And, for those people out there who think that they're above all of this, really, life can change in a second. Life can change in a second. And you really, we all are a second away from everything being different. So we need to keep that in mind, and we need to care for other people. I don't know.
If we just had empathy, like if we all had empathy or just tried to have some empathy, I think that would be a world that I would love to live in.
Me too.
Because this world of hate and violence, I don't really like so much.
And it's not getting us anywhere. So
right.
We need to stick together, honestly.
I even have like a hoodie that says destroy the hate, and I've got a shirt that says destroy racism.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give a little shout out to my boy. Go and get his stuff at destroythehate.com.
His stuff is amazing.
His stuff is amazing.
Yeah.
And his quality of clothing is amazing. Like my hoodie from 2 years ago is still standing up strong. So,
and I really love that new outfit he's got out. That's like all those beautiful colors. You guys got to check him out. It is really nice. The Destroy the Hate products are great because it gives us a voice. And when people see it, they think of unity rather than division. We all can make a difference, and we truly are stronger together. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We'd love to hear your feedback, and we hope to see you next time. Take care, guys.
Mask up. Peace out.
Unified through chronic and mental illness can be found at anchor.fm/unified. There you can find all social media links as well as other ways to listen.